Welcome to the Culinary Treasure Podcast. I'm Steven Shomler, your host. Today finds me once again in my beloved Portland, Oregon. I have a fantastic story here for you. Some people I've been cheering on and enjoying their amazing wine for a very long time. Laurie and Renee, Hip Chicks Do Wine.
Hi.
It's so great to have you on the podcast. Like I said, I've been following you guys for a long, long time, and this is long overdue. I apologize. I love wine. I love Portland winemakers. My heart goes out to women winemakers. I've done a previous podcast, with Ann at Heliotera. She's a winemaker here in the Oregon area. And then Pam at Willful Wines. And I'm just delayed. I'm sorry, but I'm here now.
Fantastic.
And so we'll tell a little bit about your story, your individual stories, and how you guys got together, because it's delightful. There's a really cool story involving a magical picnic in a pickup truck that kind of, to me, led to the secret origin of Hip Chicks Do Wine. And then we'll talk about your wine. But to start off, Laurie, where were you born?
I was born in Arlington, Texas.
And where'd you go to high school?
Trinity High School in Euless.
And what's the mascot there?
The Trinity Trojans.
The Trinity Trojans. Okay, so you're in Texas. So at some point you leave. No offense if you're my friends in Texas. And then you came to Portland roughly when?
Oh, early 90s.
Came to Portland early 90s. And then, and we'll get to more of your story in a second. And Renee, where were you born?
I was actually born here in Portland.
Portland, Oregon.
Yes.
Okay, and wait, which hospital?
Emmanuel.
I can't tell you how many people I've written about in my books or done podcasts with that born in Portland and born in Emmanuel. It must be the only place back in the day.
I think it was, actually.
Okay, and then where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school in Belgrade, Montana.
And what's the mascot there?
The Panthers.
Now, that is a place near and dear to my heart because I love Bozeman, Montana.
Right.
I don't ski. I don't hunt or anything, but I go because of the food and the people that I love. It's a great food scene. I've done so many. And Belgrade's, 10 miles west?
Yeah, 10 miles west.
Have you done some podcasts out that way? Manhattan, Land of Magic Steakhouse. Manhattan's pretty close to Belgrade.
It is.
We're getting very granular for people that haven't been to Montana.
Right.
But there's a lot, I don't know, I just like Bozeman. I like the vibe. I like it. Okay. And so at some point you left Montana, and roughly when did you come to Portland?
Oh, around 1990.
Okay. So both of you roughly in the early 90s. Okay. So now I got to ask, so your guys' relationship, as I understand it, you laid eyes on each other, at least a little bit. And then a year goes by, and then you actually kind of meet, and then a year goes by, and then you finally have your first date. Okay, so now, Laurie, I said lay eyes on each other, kind of. So, Laurie, tell me about that fateful day that you went to a cool improv show.
Yeah, I decided to go to Port Lemons Theater Company to watch an episode of Misguided Lives. It was a lesbian live action soap opera. And sitting in the audience, and Renee walked out on stage, and the angels came to sing, and the heavens opened up, and I went, okay, I like Portland.
So I actually believe in love at first sight. Sometimes there's just this magical chemistry, and you felt that.
Oh, for sure. But my parents fell in love at first sight too, so maybe it's just in my blood.
I hadn't thought about that. It could be a genetic issue. Okay, and so, but then a year goes by, and you have been in love with this amazing woman, but nothing. And so now you volunteer. Didn't you offer to volunteer?
I did. At the end of every performance, I would put in my name to be a volunteer, and it took about a year before they finally called me, and I rushed right down there.
And what was the actual situation they needed help with?
They needed somebody to run their lighting board. A volunteer hadn't shown up, and I had seen the play that they were performing that night. So I went down, and Renee was the artistic director. She was the one who was supposed to explain to me how to run the light board. And I guess I picked up what she was laying down, but I was starry-eyed.
And Renee, okay, good. I'm running a play right now. You were not only the artistic director, you were the director of that particular play.
Yes, I was.
Yeah. So you're like, yeah, I'm glad. I can tell maybe I get some vibes from you, but I got to get this play done.
Absolutely. I was in panic mode.
I'm sure, given your skills, that the play went fantastic. Okay, so then eventually, somewhere shortly after that, you become friends. But about a year goes by before you finally have your first date.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so tell me about that first date.
Oh, we went to a Halloween party. It was a burlesque show, and had a great time. We did.
Okay, at Halloween party. Now, I know just from knowing you guys that, Renee, you're not sure what your Halloween outfit was.
No, I'm not. I can't remember.
Now, I have another, some winemakers, the wonderful people I love up at Hoodcrest Wine.
Okay.
They met at many years ago, I won't say how many, at a Halloween party. And he dressed up as a fisherman, and they didn't know each other.
Okay.
She dressed up as a mermaid,
Get out.
and they met and fell in love and been together ever since.
Wow.
So that's another Oregon winemaker that fell in love. Wonderful people up at Hoodcrest, absolutely love them. She's the winemaker. People think her husband is, and he is not. She is. She's a genius. But so Renee, who knows what outfit you wore? But there's something distinctive you remember you wore for that event.
I wore my red Justin Ropers.
You wore cowboy boots.
Yes.
I do love me. I've got some boots. I bought them in Bozeman.
Oh, you did?
I do. Yeah, I've got boots. I love them. I wear them. Yeah, but no cowboy hat. You wore?
No.
Yeah, so now I have a cowboy hat that I also got in Bozeman.
Wow.
And I wear it when I'm in Bozeman, and I fit in. Anywhere else, no. What are you doing? But I do, and I have cowboy shirts that I wear in Bozeman. I fit right in. Yeah, people think I'm a local.
Wow.
I'm not going to dress like this in Bozeman. Come on.
Yeah, you probably stand out as an Oregonian.
Okay, so you first laid eyes on Renee, and a year went by. Then you became friends about a year. Then you finally had your first date, and then in roughly 2 years after, you guys were married.
Yes, right in our backyard.
So what, I just want to affirm you guys, you've been together roughly 29, 30 years. You've been married roughly 27, 28 years. Hats off to both of you. I've, in my time, when I was working in the nonprofit world, one of the things is work with couples a lot. And I just, as a child, one of my survival skills was to read people. I learned that, so I didn't upset anybody, trauma stuff. But I now can read people, and I can tell when couples like each other. And you guys authentically like each other whenever around you. I know sometimes people have tough times and do festivals and blah, 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 but you guys generally like each other. And I want to celebrate the wonderful relationship you have. And I think a lot of people should strive to have the kind of amazing relationship you guys do. So hats off to both of you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to talk about your wine journey. So I would love to hear, Laurie, tell me when your wine journey kind of began.
Oh, well, so I moved to Oregon not knowing anything about wine. And after Renee and I started dating, she wanted to go out wine tasting. And so we would go pretty much every Sunday to visit a different couple of Oregon wineries. Went from loving those super sweet Rieslings to loving the big, bold Syrahs over the course of about a year.
Oh, I like that. And do you still love the big, bold Syrahs?
I do. I tend to like the bigger, heartier reds, and Renee tends to like the white wines that are a little more crisp and clean. And so making wine very differently, yeah.
It works.
Yeah, and I like I've like all kinds of different wine varieties. I have some that I like more than others, but sweet wine, white wines, red wines. I'm just an equal opportunity wine drinker. I drink it and like it all. I think I've had one, of a good quality wine that I haven't tried the variety and said I like it. Some people like only reds or only like whites or only like sweet wines, and I like all of them. Okay, so not much exposure in your journey in wine until you and Renee are dating and you go on adventures.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And no, prior to that, no special wines, because Gen X, like Boone's Farm or Thunderbird, anything? Is Thunderbird a wine?
I had my fair share of Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill, that's for sure. And in college we would sneak a bottle of Thunderbird into the dorm and mix it with passion fruit juice and make Thunder Rock coolers. But I mean that was then, this is now.
So passion fruit, near and dear place in my heart. When I go to Hawaii to work and I come home at night and I've been working all day or helping old restaurants or whatever, or doing content, I will get some Hawaiian Sun passion fruit and half that, half vodka ice in my room. It's so good. It's I'm not saying it's a great cocktail, but it's just perfect. And I can just mix it right there, keep the vodka in the Hawaiian Sun in my hotel refrigerator, and I'm perfect. So yeah, passion fruit near and dear to my heart. Okay, Renee. Now, and just for people wondering, prior to wine, Laura, you were involved in healthcare.
Yes.
And prior to wine, Renee, you were in the coffee industry.
Yes.
And a lot of similarities, really, in my head between coffee and wine.
Absolutely.
But where did your wine journey really begin?
Actually, I think it began in the whole idea of getting to try Oregon wine at the Bite of Oregon, of all places, 100 years ago. Back when tastes were 25 cents. So you'd go around and you tried from maybe, I don't know, maybe there was like 10 wineries there. He get to try a little bit from everybody. And I was like, wow, this wine is really good. I can't believe that they actually make wine here in Oregon. So,
And so you kind of fell in love with wine.
yes,
And I think, as I understand your story, the more you were around it, the more you fell in love with it.
absolutely.
So how fulfilling it must have been to be able to date someone who would go on wine adventures with you and also grew to love wine.
Absolutely. See, that's why it just all worked out.
Yeah, having that kind of connection in a relationship. I know I have it in my relationship, but then seeing people that have it just makes my heart sing, because there's people that don't have that connection, and it's probably should be married to someone else. But anyways, that's a topic for another time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so then you guys have what I consider to be like an iconic, magical picnic in the back of a pickup truck in Willamette Valley at a winery. You have some wine, you have some fruit, you have some cheese, you're just enjoying others' company, and you had kind of an incredible conversation there. Tell me about that.
We did. We were talking about the corporate jobs that we weren't quite in love with anymore, and talking about what we could do in wine since we both had this passion. And eventually we got to the idea that maybe making wine was what we wanted to do instead of just selling it. And one of us said, let's try it. And the other one said it can't be that hard because men do it all the time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you decided we're gonna eventually, the hope was become professional winemakers.
Absolutely.
But shortly after that conversation, let's head that direction. You started making wine recreational in your home.
Oh, yeah. We would go out and we would buy like blueberries or apples or whatever, and we would make like 5 gallons of fruit wine at home and store it in our closet for aging and unleash it on our friends
Now, where'd you get your winemaking stuff?
from Steinbert's.
I love Steinbart's. They're a chapter in my second book.
Absolutely.
Iconic in wine and in beer here in the Portland area. Phenomenal company. So you get all the little stuff that you need to make wine at home,
Yes.
and we're learning. And then you made a jump from making wine, in just small batches to you made a whole barrel. Tell me about
Yes.
that. For recreation, not yet professionally.
No. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, no, we went out to a U-Pick vineyard and picked our own grapes and brought them back and used an old apple press that we had bought from somebody off of Craigslist or something, and, made a barrel of wine. And it was a fun fall day with lots of stickiness.
Okay, and that was a Pinot Noir, right?
Yes,
And how did that wine turn out?
It was okay.
it was drinkable.
Right.
Okay. And then one of the things you did early on to prepare yourself, because I like it how, it's not like people just magically all of a sudden become something. There's always a process, and I love that. But one of the things you did is you took classes early on when they were first had them at Chemeketa.
We did. Yeah, all of those early classes were viticulture classes, which was great because we had the chance to, tromp around in Oregon vineyards and quickly learned that grape growing probably wasn't the part of the industry we wanted to be in. But it's great to have that foundation and that knowledge, and I think it's really important to know what growers go through and not just the winemaking aspect.
Yeah, I think knowing about viticulture and that experience makes you better winemakers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, if you're not from the Oregon area or not in the wine industry, Chemeketa Community College down the Willamette Valley now has a great whole wine program and et cetera. They're iconic in that world. If you ever heard of it, that's what Chemeketa is. And it helps a lot of people now.
It does.
And they do a great job. But you took some of their first early classes as they were just getting started.
We didn't, and it was really important to me to be able to take classes from Oregon winemakers. We could have gone to Davis, but then you learn how to make California wine, and we're making wine in Oregon, and Oregon is very different and unique, and our growing season is very different from California's. And so, being able to be one-on-one with some of the best winemakers in Oregon was really important to us at that time, and still is.
I like that. Okay, so now we're going to switch to you finally made the leap to go professional. You opened Hip Chicks Do Wine. We'll get to the story in a second. I love the name, but roughly 1999, you make some wine down in the Willamette Valley, and your first batch. Do you remember what wine you made?
We actually made Pinot Noir.
Oh, Pinot Noir, I like that.
Yeah.
So you make that, and then the next thing you do, kind of the big step professionally, is you got the place we're sitting in now here in Portland, your tasting room and your winery, and then the next time you made wine, your next harvest you're making wine, you're here making wine in Portland. You're a real live Portland winemaker, and you've been making your wine here ever since.
Yes.
And there was a gap. There was a time where you just had the wine facility, and then eventually you opened up the tasting room.
Right. I mean, it takes a while for things in the barrel to get ready to sell. So
Okay, and so it's been roughly since 1999, so over 20 years the business has been going. You've kept alive, been working, you've been making wine. Do you still love making wine?
Oh, you have to. That's what this industry is about. It is about passion. You have to be passionate about what you do. You have to be passionate about the grape, and you have to be passionate, I think, about wine. So, definitely still passionate about it, and yeah, I just love doing it.
well, and it's a labor of love, I that moment in the fall every year where you walk out of your house and you smell the air and you suddenly realize the grapes are almost ready.
Yeah.
And every vintage, you have the chance to take this amazing fruit that someone has labored over all year, and you are able to take that and crush it and ferment it and turn it into something new. And so every year there's a challenge. It's not really like you're doing the same thing over and over because every vintage is different. And we work with some of the same growers year after year, but we're also not afraid to experiment. So we'll pull in maybe a new grape we've never worked with before and try that. And so that has its own challenges and successes and sometimes failures.
Right.
Yeah, and you guys, in my opinion, make great wine. You're great winemakers. But something I heard you say recently, Lori, that I think is really insightful that people don't realize that the implications of it is not only do you have to make wine, you have to sell wine.
You do. I mean, otherwise, that's an awful lot you got to take home and drink yourself.
And it's, people that you want to become a winemaker and you love making wine, but then there's the whole business side and the selling and the marketing. And that's where I think we get to the brilliance of Hip Chicks Do Wine. So tell me where the name came from.
Well, we were sitting around drinking one night, trying to think of a name of a wine brand that you wouldn't forget after you had the bottle the night before. So we came up with Hip Chicks because we're a couple of chicks, and then we'll do some wine. So Hip Chicks Do Wine. And sure enough, people do not forget after they had that bottle the night before.
They remember. Okay.
Yeah.
And then your brand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but your brand, your labels, there's some whimsy, there's some joy. Tell me about your labels. You have a cool little narrative with some of your labels.
Yeah, so any of our wines that have our logo on them, the Hip Chicks logo, those tend to be single varietals, except for our belly button wine, because there's always got to be one kind of an exception. And then the rest of our labels are original artwork. We have our pulp novel wines, Bad Girl Blanc, Drop Dead Red, and Riot Girl Rosé. Those are modeled after the pulp novels of the 1940s, and Renee writes the back label so that it reads the way the back of a book jacket would read. Then we have our wine bunnies. Our wine bunnies were designed by Suzanne Moulton. She actually worked on the movie Coraline, but she was a local Portland area artist, and we used to show her artwork here. And one day I emailed her and said, "Have you ever thought about making a wine label for me?" Literally 30 seconds later, she emailed me the prototype for our Wine Bunny Rouge. And I said, "I love it. Now let's make all of those ladies in the Wine Bunny wines not white."
Why?
Well, in 2005, when you saw a woman on a label, she was going to be white. And I just think that's how the industry itself kind of was going. And I wanted to see more representation of what our true community is like. Last year, I felt like that kind of came to a pinnacle when I had somebody post a picture on Instagram of herself with the Wine Bunny blush. And she said, "I'm so excited today. I went to this winery in Portland and I bought this bottle of wine, and on the label is a girl who looks just like me."
To me, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What a service to people, and that is just absolutely incredible. It's one thing to make great wine; it's another to be really intentional about doing things that, and I think can really make a difference in someone's world and touch their heart and give them hope.
Mhm.
I absolutely love that. And so back when you were really launching the winery, hip chicks, Oregon wine culture was different then.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say this one because I think I get away with it because I probably am one now. I wasn't years ago. Just a bunch of stodgy white men back in the day. Right now, my wife tells me I'm cantankerous, and a grumpy old white man now. But it was a male dominated business.
Mhm.
It was kind of stodgy. It was you had to be very professional in the boring sense of the word. As far as your branding or anything, and you must have to some people been, oh my goodness, and to other people, breath of fresh air.
Oh, for sure. I think we were both.
Oh, I don't know if we were a breath of fresh air. I know we were at least jarring.
But I think it's important because if that era wine was not as accessible.
No.
They just didn't. If you didn't know, they didn't want you in. It was just kind of I'll say this because it's just the old boys club. Just a boys club. Both the making of it and the enjoying of it. And so you were part of a wave of important winemakers, men and women, women and men, who made it more accessible, opened it up, made funner wines, more accessible wines, funner labels, like made it seem appealing instead of just stodgy and boring and dusty.
Oh, for sure. And I know we got some side eye because I saw it.
Oh, we got lots of side eye.
But we really did want to create a brand that said wine is fun, wine is a beverage you may drink on the regular, wine is good with food. Just kind of bring out the fun aspects of wine and bring a little bit of that education piece to brand new consumer.
Amen to that. Okay, so let's talk about some of your wines. I want people to come here or go to your website and buy wine and enjoy it. But I want to give them, you do roughly every fall, roughly 20 different varieties and blends. My wife grew up around, her dad was a winemaker, and she loves a blend because she says that's where the winemaker's talent really shines.
Absolutely.
And so I love that you have blends, but roughly every year, 20 different bottles. So there's something for everybody. I can't cover all 20 in a podcast. It'd be a long time, but we'll talk about some of them. So tell me about the Wine Bunny Blush. What's that generally going to be like?
So the Wine Bunny Blush is your just super approachable pink wine that tastes like a Capri Sun for adults.
So this is on a warm summer day on the back deck. This is the wine I want.
You want to chill it and you want to kill it.
I like that. And any particular food you like to have with this wine?
I like to have some spicier food with this because there is some nice acidity to it that helps clean the palate, if you will, as you're eating the food and drinking the wine.
Yeah, the thing about your wine, I probably think this about many wines, and most people do. Like, I like a lot of wines by themselves, and I like a lot of wine with meals. Even wine that people think, oh, you should have that with food, the other way around. I do that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but winemakers I've discovered, some of them are so opinionated, it's ridiculous. But your wine is good both ways. I mean, it really does work well with food. But yeah, Wine Bunny Blush, I want that on a warm summer day. It is just, and summer here in the Pacific Northwest is absolutely incredible. Okay, and just sticking with a lighter one, I've just got 4 to talk about. But what the heck is belly button wine? And does it have lint in it?
No, it is lint free. No belly buttons were harmed in the making. Belly button wine is your easy drinking, semi-sweet white blend. It is just a fun little answer to like a sweet Riesling. So it tends to have very peach and nectarine notes to it, a little hint of cardamom. Again, this is something maybe I would have with some nice spicy Thai food, but also perfect on a picnic.
I love that. And tell me about the belly button component.
Well, so this was one of the very first wines that we made back in 1999. And we were trying to come up with a fun, whimsical name for it, and we were working with actually our label designer. And I said, well, can't we do something fancy? And I wanted to call it Panty Dropper.
I wouldn't let her.
I think that's a good choice.
Well, but then Panty Dropper Ale came out
Right?
8 years later, and people loved it. And I was like, see, I had a good idea.
She did.
But
I don't know. I'm edgy, but my edgy has limits. So I'm not going to say anything.
so instead of Panty Dropper, we decided to call it Belly Button Wine. And it's not too sweet, not too dry. It's right in the middle, just like your belly button. You could drink so much you show your belly button, or you could drink it out of a belly button because once you get it home, it's all your business.
Okay, there you go. I like that it's fun.
It is.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and that's the thing, is not only do you have great wines, but you have fun wines. Okay, so Wine Bunny Rouge. Did I get that right?
Yes, you
Yep.
did.
All right. Tell me about this one.
So this is a wine where we make it out of different grapes every time we make it. It's actually never been the same blend twice. It's usually a blend of somewhere between 4 and 7 different grapes. This year it's primarily Syrah and Petit Verdot, and then lesser amounts of Cabernet Franc, Malbec, and Merlot, but always grapes that are going to lend a little more spiciness or zippiness or pepperiness to it. We just try to keep it very different from our other red blend.
Now, I don't have the smarts or the skill to be a winemaker, but if I did, that's what I would want to do is play with those blends. That to me sounds so and then drinking a blend I absolutely love. And so every year it's a different wine in one sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so how much fun every year, like, okay, we got to try this year's version and this year's version. And I'm sure you tell people, here's what's in this year's blend. They can go find out what each year what you're working with.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then how do you choose the grapes for each year? Just what speaks to you, or?
Well, that involves a graduated cylinder and a whole bunch of wine glasses, and we come up with all these different blends, and we taste them, and sometimes we arm wrestle over it. Some years I win, some years Renee wins. That's what you got to do when you're working with your spouse.
Yeah, and blending, that would be not good for me because I need to try a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and then like, okay, I need to go to bed. Okay, and Drop Dead Red.
So Drop Dead Red is a very smooth blend of half Cabernet Sauvignon and half Merlot. So in Drop Dead Red, that does not change from year to year. It has been the same pretty much blend for the last 20 years. So people know what they're getting with that particular wine.
Well, and to me, Drop Dead Red is just that wine that you've had a hard day at work. You don't know what you're going to have for dinner. You get home, you can pop open a bottle of Drop Dead Red, have a glass, maybe have another glass. Next thing you know, Drop Dead Red maybe was your dinner. Maybe you had some cheese. But it's not one of those wines that you have to have with food like we were talking about. It's a total easy drinking, smooth red blend versus that Wine Bunny Rouge. To me, that's a food wine. Like I want some brisket or I want a burger off the grill, something smoky to balance out that spiciness.
I love red wine and a good burger. I just
Oh, yeah.
phenomenal. Okay, and then people can go on your website and they can read all about more of your Hip Chick Stew wines, but then you have a second brand, and it has a whole different label on it. It's a different kind of wine. Tiernan Connor Cellars.
Yes, Tiernan Connor Cellars is named after our son. He was born the year we opened our tasting room, so he's literally grown up here.
And he's helped make wine for a long time.
His entire life. And now he has a little bit more input. As an adult, we bring him into some of the blending process and let him taste the wines. And these days, not everything tastes like strawberries like it did 10 years ago to him. But this brand is all about family. On the label, there's 3 dragons, and each dragon represents a different part of family. It's the family that you're born to, the family that you grew up to create yourself, and our community, which should be family for all of us.
I didn't notice the dragon until just now.
Yes.
That's beautiful. So, okay, say that again. The three dragons, what they represent.
Yeah. So the family that you're born to, the family that you grew up to create yourself, and our community, which should be family for all of us.
I love that. Okay, so you make a handful of different varieties under that label, and so you have a Pinot Noir,
Yes.
and then you have a almost every year a Syrah,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
and then a Pinot Gris almost every year.
Yes.
Okay, and then you do some fun reserve ones, right?
Yes. We make some very small batches of port. That's kind of my little pet passion is making the ports. I really enjoy that. This year we'll be releasing a port that's made out of 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. Probably about 40, 50 cases, maybe.
Yeah.
We have 2 barrels. Next year in 2026, we will release a white port made out of Muscat.
Wow.
The fun thing with our ports is that all of the brandy that we use to fortify these port style wines is actually made out of our own wine. We take some of our wine over to New Deal Distillery in Southeast Portland.
I love New Deal.
Right.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
my favorite distillery in Portland. They're only 12 minutes away. and Tom distills this bulk wine for us. We bring it back over and we age it in neutral French barrels until we're ready to use it to make our ports. So we're typically aging these brandies anywhere from 3 to 7 years. And then that's what we turn around and fortify our wines with during the fermentation process.
And over the next 5-10 years, the ports that you have might be different grapes,
Yes.
but you'll have a port.
Yes.
And what's the red one that's coming out soon? Or
100% Cabernet Sauvignon.
okay, and so some people know port and they know exactly what to do. Other people don't. What's a good thing to do with that one?
Oh, you can do so much. I mean, it is a great after dinner drink by itself. But you can also make cocktails with it. I like to make champagne cocktails. Put like maybe an ounce of port in the bottom of your champagne flute, fill it up with sparkling wine. That is delicious.
That sounds amazing.
Yes.
That's new to me, and I know more than the average bear.
Yeah. Or you can do port and tonic water. With a little bit of orange peel in there. That can also be very refreshing and fun. And then, of course, every Thanksgiving, I'm making my cranberry sauce out of our port and from scratch. Yeah, cranberries, probably half a cup of port, maybe more, orange juice, orange zest, a cinnamon stick, and just simmer it till it turns into jelly.
Okay, I am, just all cards on the table, a firm advocate of the canned stuff, with the ridges on it. But that sounds amazing.
It is.
Oh,
That might actually be better than the nonsensical canned stuff.
it's delicious.
I'm just talking nostalgia when I say relax with people don't get after me. It's just silliness. But that sounds phenomenal. I would have never thought to make cranberry sauce with port.
Oh, yeah, it's delicious.
Wow. Okay. I like my port on a cold winter night with some chocolate on the back deck.
That also works.
But all these other things are better. Okay, so I get the idea. I get my mind around the idea of a red port. But you have a Muscat. That's a white wine port,
We
right?
do, yes.
So what that I can't even imagine what that's like other than amazing. So what do we do with that? Similar? I mean,
Well, yeah, similar. So the white port, there was another Oregon winery years ago. We were friends with the winemaker, and he made a white port out of Muscat, and I just loved it and thought it was interesting and unique. And we love Muscat grapes. We make an off-dry Muscat, and we happened to have a little bit of extra fruit one year, and I thought, let's just do it. And so we had a white Muscat port. What was that 3 years ago? I think.
Yeah.
And folks loved it.
what's
again,
the flavor profile like roughly?
very orange blossom, and I want to say butterscotch, but it's not really butterscotch, but it reminds me of butterscotch.
Kind of like butterscotch light.
Yes, it is like butterscotch light. The Muscat itself is very grapefruit and lychee. And so some of those notes come across in the port, but they're of course more muted.
Yep. I want some of that. That sounds incredible. And then one more I want to mention that you do under the Tieran Connor Cellars label is you do that's not very common. And then sometimes, can't believe I'm saying this, but it's my experience, not very good. Other people's orange wine.
Yes.
So some orange wines I've had have been good, and some I've been like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And people don't even know that orange wine's a thing. Some people.
right. Well, and our orange wines are made out of Pinot Gris. We crush the grapes. We let the juice hang out with the grape skins only overnight. We're not actually fermenting it on the skins. And after 24 hours, we come in and press off all the juice and ferment it in stainless steel. And under the Tiernan Connor label, after we've fermented that, then we take that wine and age it in oak barrels. And it sees a combo of both French and American oak. So you kind of get that rich, creamy nuttiness that you might expect from a Chardonnay, only it's a Pinot Gris because we don't like Chardonnay.
ABC, anything but Chardonnay.
Everybody has their preferences.
They do. And, that's why there's a world of wine out there. We don't all have to like the same thing.
Fair enough. Yeah, my wife does not like any kind of sweet wine. She's not a fan of Chardonnay. She is in your club completely. But your orange wine doesn't. Orange wine has almost a bitterness to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you get that by letting it ferment on the skins. You're going to be extracting more tannins and sometimes a little more kind of funky notes. And there's nothing wrong with that. People like funk. I just tend to like that little cleaner, not funky taste. And, again, if I don't sell it, I got to drink it. So I need to make sure that I like it.
Yep. And then some of the orange wines I've had in the United States have been also natural,
Yes.
which then they really have some intense funkiness. And an orange wine's a thing. When you hold a beautiful glass of an orange wine in the sunlight, it is just spectacular.
Yes.
Yeah, orange wine. It's if you come across an orange wine, I'm just telling you, if you listen to this podcast and you don't like it, don't give up on orange wine. There are good ones out there.
Right. There's so many.
And some people like funk and some people don't. And so if you come across a funky orange wine, find one that's not. I got to go to Greece on a just before COVID hit on it was basically a wine writer's trip, and we were north of Thessaloniki. There's this incredible wine region up there, and one of the wineries, they specialize in orange wine. And it was a sight to behold, just so beautiful. So yeah, orange wine is near and dear to my heart. So lots and lots of great wines. Now you and people, I want people, and we'll talk about why at the end of the podcast, why. But I want people to buy your wine. I really, really do. And so if the way they can buy your wine, so wine festivals aren't what they were back in the day. Things have changed.
Oh, for sure.
In the past 10 years, 5 years. But there are still a couple festivals where people love wine that you still go to. And I hope they're going strong. I hope they continue to. Tell me about those two festivals.
Yeah, so we do the Newport Seafood and Wine Festival every February. It always happens the last full weekend in February. It's a 4-day event. It's a great time. There's so many different Oregon wineries at it, and we always have a nice selection of wines, and we make our sangria for that event, so that's a fun one. The other annual big event that we attend is the Astoria Crab Seafood and Wine Festival. That happens the last full weekend in April every year, out at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds, just outside of Astoria. And again, try to mix it up so that folks that found us at Newport can have different wines at Astoria, so we don't bring the same things to both events.
Oh, that's smart. And I just know from my experience being at those events, both helping winemakers and attending them as a fan, is there are people that they go to see their winemaker, their wine. Every year they look
Yeah.
forward to seeing you guys. They may not live in the Portland area. They may travel. It's a big deal for those people, for those fans. Like, oh, you're here. I love you. Get to see you every year.
Oh, for sure. And, those are the people that are following us on social media and asking us what we're going to bring to a particular event. So it's a lot of fun to see those same faces every year.
So you can go to those events, but
Yes.
but that's like a one-time a year thing. But people then can come right to your tasting room. Just go to your website. Over time, hours may change. Go to your website and figure out when. But they come right here to the tasting room. They can taste your wines. They can buy your wine. So that's the place where people can buy it. And then they can go to your website, and you ship wine to all the places that allow it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we ship wines all across the country. And if you are lucky enough to live here in Portland, we continue to do at-home delivery service as well. So folks that are, here in town, if they can't make the drive over, we can bring the wine to you.
I like that. And then, so if I just want random, I live in Georgia and I want a random case, you can ship it to me.
Yes.
But then you also have a wine club where I can get wine regularly.
We do. For our local customers, they tend to get 2 to 6 bottles so that they come in and pick up every 2 months. We offer the wine club shipments in even months. Most of our out-of-state shipping customers, I actually work with them directly to personalize a club for them.
That's fantastic. A lot
Well,
of places don't give you that option.
No, but shipping has gotten a lot more expensive than it used to be. And I realized a couple of years ago that the cookie cutter wine club doesn't work for everyone. And so a lot of our out-of-state customers, maybe they get fewer shipments, but more bottles each shipment. Some of them like to pick out their wines themselves. So I'll send them a list of all of our current wines with descriptions and pricing, and they tell me what they want. But I have a handful that they're like, no, girl, just mix me up a case, whatever you like. And so I keep a record so that every time I send them wines, I can make sure they're getting some of the newest wines.
Okay, I like that. And one other kind of wine I wanted to mention that I forgot is every year you do a release in June, your Pride wine.
Yes, yes, our Pride wines. We've been making our Pride wines since 2006. In 2006, we signed on as the wine sponsor for Pride Northwest. So every year we donate all of the wine that Pride Northwest sells by the glass at their Waterfront Wine Festival, Waterfront Pride Festival, which is happening in July. It's actually just a couple of weeks from now. But it's usually in mid-July, and that is a major fundraiser for them. It helps to pay for tents and security and parade routes, etc. And then we sell bottles of our Pride wines in our tasting room or at other Pride events. And we'll also be selling them at Pride. And a portion of every bottle sold is donated to Esther's Pantry. They are a local food bank for folks with HIV and AIDS, and they also have a trans pantry day once a month. They fall under the Cascade AIDS Project umbrella.
Nice. And so it's roughly every year in June, you release generally 3 varieties.
Yes.
And the labels are the same, but it's 3 different labels. They look very, very similar. I'm looking at them right now, and they're beautiful. I absolutely love them, but they're each slightly different. But then you've got a dandelion on all 3.
We do. Yes. The dandelion is, for durability, and, it's hard to kill those dandelions, just like the queer community itself. We come back over and over and over again. But yes, we have a dry white wine every year called Out and Proud. We have a dry red blend every year called Loud and Proud. This year it's Syrah and Malbec. And then something sweet called Sappho's Sweet Delight.
I like that. And if you're listening to this podcast and you want to see those labels, you can go to culinarytreasurepodcast.com, and I'll have pictures of those. Now, there used to be a different label
Yes.
for the Pride Week, and who knows, 2, 3 years from now, whenever, 5 years, who knows, it could be a different label than it is now. So people need to learn to adjust. But I love those labels right now. I know people don't like change. I sometimes don't like change, but it's good for us.
It is.
But those are great. Okay, and then the last couple things I want to mention, just because it's true. It's important to me, is that I've heard statistics that, like in Oregon, wine traffic and wine sales is off in the past couple of years, 20%.
Yes.
And I think if you took most people in their household, so we're going to cut your income by 20%, it would be brutal. And I think Oregon wineries in particular, I'm biased toward Oregon wineries, no offense to other parts of the world, but Oregon wineries are really, really important to me, and winemakers and wineries are precious to me. And I just want to encourage you, if you're listening to the podcast and you're like, oh, I listen to this podcast because I love Hip Chicks and it's so great to hear their story, well, then make it one of your wineries. And I think all the wine fans need to pick a handful of their wineries that they intentionally support. It's like, not because I love wine anymore, not just for fun, but also because I want this winery to be around. I want this winery to go. And I really would encourage you, if you're listening to this podcast, you live Hip Chick, say, oh, I'm going to redouble my efforts. I'm going to you drink wine for a good cause, for the business, because I'll say it, and you guys don't have to, but I talk to a lot of winemakers, and it's tough. It's different. It's a different world than it used to be. There's a lot of factors why, but I'm not kidding you. It's easy to think, oh, the winemaker's doing fine. The winemakers need help, and they need committed customers buying and supporting their wine. And so if you listen to this podcast and you get the idea and you want to tag Hip Chicks and say, hey, I heard the podcast, and yes, you're one of my wineries, I'm going to make sure to support them. I would be grateful. I know that you guys would too.
Oh,
Absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
All right. And so 2 other things I want to mention, just because it's important. It's important to bring some things into the light of day. When you guys first started your winery, you got grief because you were women.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We did. People would, I'm sure jokingly, or maybe not jokingly, ask us, what do your husbands think about you making wine? And do your husbands ever come and volunteer? And I'm like, I don't have a husband. I'm married to this lady right here. It was always curious to me, I guess, because I thought we were living our lives plenty out and loud.
And yeah, right. And proud.
Okay. And then people would want, like, the forklift driver to appear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
The male
The
forklift
dude,
driver.
yeah,
the male.
dude.
Yeah. Where's the man that can unload the stuff with the forklift?
Absolutely.
And I got to say, Renee has some pretty amazing forklift skills. I mean, when she get, you're sitting here in the middle of our winery. We don't have that much space, and the way this lady over here can manipulate that forklift, I just cover my eyes. I can't even watch. She's so good.
But early on, it was for all women winemakers. It was tough.
Oh,
It's just the
absolutely.
culture. People didn't think, is there a man overseeing this? Keep an eye on this stuff. I mean, who taught you this? Who proved this? I mean,
Right.
I am so sorry for that heartache, and I really am, because it's not right. And I'm so glad that you persisted.
Yeah.
It's important. But yeah, people need to realize it. And I'm not saying that still doesn't happen today. But
Oh,
it's
it does.
but it's not the women can't make wine in your journey. It's not as intense as it was when you started.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and I do think that, here in the Pacific Northwest, we tend to have a lot more women winemakers than I think there are in some other parts of the U.S. So maybe it's becoming a little more common to see women winemakers. But, I talk to other younger women and they still have the same struggle that we had. But hopefully it's, less for them now than it was for us. I think being queer too also has another layer on top of that. Every year when I go and do the first post of the year about the Pride wines and what they are and that they're available, you kind of watch people unsubscribe from the email list, or you watch people unfollow you on the gram. And I think, well, did you just figure it out? Because queer all year,
Yeah, absolutely, not just in June.
right?
Yeah, that's the second thing I wanted to talk about is that early on, I tease my dear friend Arthur, who I love very, very much. He happens to be married to a man, and I think he might be gay.
Right?
But both of them maybe.
But does his husband know?
I think so. I think they both know. And Brian's phenomenal. I love them both very, very much. And so you guys were gay the whole time you were women winemakers, but early on it was the women part that gave you grief.
Yes.
Right.
And now my observation, seeing a little bit on social media, sometimes you get grief now for being, gay winemakers.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I just again want to say I'm so sorry. That is so wrong and so terrible, and shouldn't happen. And I wish we were a healthier country with stuff like that, and more caring and more loving. And I just, it is sad to me. I believe you. I completely believe you. And I would not, to have someone, I love your wine, it's great. And then, hey, we're doing our special thing in June, we do every year, and it does all this good in the world. And for someone to unsubscribe because of who you are, like a rejection of who you are, that would be such an ache in my heart. And I am again so sorry that happens. And I want you, if you're listening to this podcast, to let that ache touch your heart and realize that's why wineries like this need your support. And support is not, in this case, and I just want to be really, really clear, it's great to like a post. It's great to comment on a post. But the support is, no, I want to help them. So buy a GD case of wine.
Right.
That's the way you can help.
Absolutely.
And the winemakers aren't going to say this, but it needs to be said. That's why I'm saying it. And so I just so grateful for everything you guys do. So grateful that you've been around for so long, making wonderful wine, and you have an incredible legacy. And I want you to have all the success in the world. And I want people to come have your wine. And if you're like, I don't know about the label on Drop Dead Red, well, then get some Tiernan Cellars. Take the pretty label from there. Take the Syrah when it's around the Pinot Noir. Take it home and be happy. But it's all good wine. It's all fun wine. It's all accessible wine. That's everything on my heart. It was just a joy to have you guys on the podcast. I want people to come to Portland and support Portland. I want people that live in Portland or the greater Portland metro to come here to your tasting room. And just have a magical experience. Because you guys, you make wine magic happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers, everybody.